Sunday. Very exciting show. Tajahi Cooke, who is chef of Biju's Little Curry Shop in Denver, as well as the owner of Ms. Betty's Grandson, which we'll talk about a little bit. Tajahi, man, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I am pumped to be talking with you because, like so many of my guests, I've been scouring social media looking for positivity, looking for hustle, looking for people that are thinking and being creative in this moment. And you posted a picture that was just you and your whites. I think you had a bandana on, right? And this was like hashtagged out. And you have a hashtag you use all the time, love what you do. Yeah. And I was inspired by that and wanted to have you on the show. So let's start there, and then we'll go back and talk about kind of what's been happening with you. But why is it important for you to use a hashtag like that and just to have that positive, motivated energy?
Honestly, it's that reminder sometimes, those hard days where, you're walking out of the restaurant with a $10,000 to $15,000 day, and you're just drained, and you're questioning the decisions that you made, but you go back the next day, and I've worked under some amazing chefs, whether it was Sal Salazar at the kitchen next door, Chef Kyle when I was over at the kitchen. It's amazing to work under these individuals like, Chef Lucas Forgy when I was over at Block and Larder, watching their story, watching their growth, and having to watch that restaurant close. That was a tough decision. That was a tough one on us, but we love what we do. We truly love what we do, and we get up and we go and do it the next day. Look at these individuals on the front line feeding the frontline workers, Chef Kelly Whitaker. You know what I mean? I'm doing the Steamboat Food and Wine Festival with him this year, and that gentleman, he's an amazing human being. Watching these people work, it's what we do. We have to love what we do, or you don't do it at all. It doesn't make sense.
So true. And when you think about that, because you see the grind, and we all have empathy for so many of our brethren, our brothers and sisters that have put in all the passion, all the effort, all of themselves, and still just got ground up. Myself, I had to separate myself from the day-to-day kitchen because it was killing me too. Yeah. How do you find that balance then when it's like all about putting in everything you got, leaving nothing on the field?
I'm honestly asking myself that same question. I'm trying to find that same balance. I've redecorated my whole house. I've gutted my whole kitchen.
Everything's labels out.
Honestly, yeah. I have enough quart containers, that it can take me through. But the thing is, it's right now, as a chef, as a human being in this world, watching the situation, it's hard. As a chef, I want to go out there and I want to grind, dude. I've been offered so many positions, and right now, my opinions, we all have one. Mine is it's not the right time to go out there. We have to hold back just for a little bit. We have to, if we can find a balance between opening our restaurants and doing delivery and pickup, I think that we should do it, because as restaurants, we are paying rent. We're paying our bills, and these are just brick and mortars that are just sitting there. We have to find a way to keep it going. So with that being said, I have asthma, Jensen, and having asthma, I was born with it. My dad has asthma. My mom has asthma. I can't get away from it. So I had to take myself out of that situation. And also having a wife that also have her health issues as well, you have to think about the people who are around you. It's no longer just about you. That's the honest. I may have strayed away from your question a little bit, but the honest truth of the matter is, it's hard to get away from that mindset of when you're working 65, 70 hours a week, and then all of a sudden now you're just put to a full stop. It's going to take us to adapt.
I really appreciate that. That's important. It's insightful. It's personal. It's easy to get caught up in some of the politics of it right now, of what we're supposed to do and not supposed to do, and whose fault this is and whose responsibility that is. And I don't know the answers to that. Nobody knows the answers to that. Such a personal question to ask and a decision to make. And so I respect that so highly. And I completely have a ton of respect and understanding for people who are like, we have to get back to work now. I get
Yeah.
both sides. It has to
Yeah.
be your decision because it's balancing your personal health. For you,
Yeah.
you are high risk, and that's scary for sure.
It is.
And the people around you. And then there's also the fact of not being in the restaurant gives you physical health, but the potential of being stuck at home is
Brother.
probably not good for the mental health of an
No.
industry and people that are built on face-to-face interaction. I think I've talked about it on every single episode. Like,
Yeah.
we're built on shoulder to shoulder in the kitchen.
Oh.
It's a struggle to not have that. And so how then are you finding some levity in these moments? You know, you mentioned organizing your house and your kitchen.
Yeah.
Are you cooking right now? What else is keeping you energized?
Well, I have my ear to the pavement. I may not be out there physically, but I'm out there. I've been in conversation with the Salvation Army, Lambeth Family Center. We recently fed over 500 people this past Thanksgiving, with Chef Jesus Silva. From the
Yes.
Broadway market, we rocked that out, and it was a bunch of friends that came together. So I've had numerous people reached out to me. If I can be the individual that get cooks in connections with jobs, uh, find cooks, help out organizations around the neighborhood, whatever that I can do, I'm doing it. So I've connected cooks with the Salvation Army. They're feeding over 10,000 people a day. Kristen, the director from the Lambeth Family Center, is an amazing woman. She reached out to me. We're working with different churches around the community. It just depends. I think that right now what we can do is, if it's a phone call we can make, if we can go drop off some groceries, if we can send some groceries, whatever that we can do as a community, we need to stay active. So that's what I find myself doing. I may not be out there physically, but I have my ear to the streets, and
Yeah.
I'm part of the conversation. You know what I mean? I think that whatever way that we can contribute, we should try.
Hell yes, we should
Yeah.
try. It's
Yeah.
so innate, again, in the humans in hospitality to be like, we're completely decimated. People are completely out of work.
Yeah.
Their livelihood, but also their sense of being is completely devastated right now. Yet the instinct is always to be of service, to find a way to serve your community, to connect people, to communicate. So I really, really appreciate that. I'm going to make sure to link up some of these people. And I love it. This is all about acknowledging others. And a lot of times I'm like, so who's that person? So who's that person? I'm asking people, like, give me a name. Like, let's name drop a little bit. You're crushing it, man. You are a natural name dropper, which I really like. Acknowledgement is key.
We have to. I think, acknowledging the individuals that you're working with, it gives credit, and it brings awareness to what you're doing. You know what I mean? I think, don't get me wrong, we've done a lot of work silently, and that work helped. Now we need to become vocal.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So true.
That's
I
it.
love it. And look, this whole show is built on like championing for the unsung hospitality heroes. So many people in the trenches that actually make it happen day in and day out. I'm so inspired, so struck by the ability of people to have that pure sense of hospitality. And so they all have voices. There's been a lot of conversation about who is allowed to speak for the industry. Is it the people that have the big namesakes? And I say, hell no. It's Tajahi Cooke, and everybody else at every single level of the industry has a voice and should use that voice. And the more solidarity there is in that voice, the more strength there is in that voice. So I really appreciate hearing that as well. And everyone listening who doesn't think that they have permission to speak, you have permission. Tajahi and I are giving you permission for whatever that's worth. We're giving you permission to speak, to connect. Just a couple phone calls. What a difference that really makes.
Yes, sir.
So I want to talk a little bit about the two entities you're a part of. Biju's Little Curry Shop, amazing, for sure. Biju Thomas, great chef, great mind for the culinary world, great ability to take high-end cuisine and turn it into fast casual. I love everything about it. And then also Miss Betty's grandson. I dig that. Ode to Grandma. So talk about Biju's a little bit, and then we'll talk about what Miss Betty's grandson is.
Definitely. Biju, man. So I have been eating Biju's food ever since I was a line cook at Block and Larder off of Tennyson and 38th. This is probably 5 years ago. Now, I've never met the man. I've just always enjoyed his food, and being Jamaican and being of Indian descent, that is my background. Um, Everything that he cooks is everything that I grew up with.
Yeah.
So when we opened up the Broadway market, I was the executive chef of Mother Tongue. Uh, it was amazing, you know. So our restaurant was right next to Little Curry Shop at the Broadway market. So we were
Yep.
right next door to each other. We were always helping each other, elbow to elbow. When we first opened, we were grinding. We were numbers were high, man. It was insane. The amount of people that we're feeding on a daily basis, it was beautiful. But watching that man work, watching the care that he shows, watching the love that he gives, um, just actually him
Right.
sit down and having a conversation with his guest. You know, a kid walks in and he lights up and the kid lights up. So when you're around such contagious individuals, you can't help but want to be around those people.
For
So,
sure.
but yeah, Little Curry Shop opened up the door to Southern Indian cuisine in America, and Biju did it very well. So to be a part of that team going over there and adding my influence, my grandmother was from Bangladesh. Um, she left Bangladesh at the age of 13, 14 when she was first married to her first husband, and she went to Jamaica.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy back then. They married off very young, and but she came from Bangladesh, and I watched my grandmother make roti from scratch, mango chutney from scratch with a flat rock and a round rock, and she's just going at it
Oh
caveman
yeah.
style. That's what I grew up with. Watching her make dal. We raised chickens and goats. So going over to Biju's little curry shop, it gave me that comfort. I was home. You know, um, but unfortunately, because of the circumstances we're in, we have to close doors. Um, it's a sad situation. A lot of mom and pop restaurants, a lot of restaurants like Bijoux, we have to close doors because of the circumstance. It wasn't by choice, um, but it honestly shows that we're all in this. It's not one person that is has to make this tough decision. You know, um, it's not one, and I think
Yeah.
that's where the comfort lies. In some ways, it's twisted, but there's some comfort there.
Know it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's strange because isn't it true that in this industry we almost thrive off of bad news more than good news? We're
yeah,
so used to it.
yeah.
We're so used to this table is long. You're supposed to be up in 30 seconds. Where's
Yeah,
my this? Like we
we're always
fire on
on
that.
time. Yeah, always.
So sometimes we're like, wait. They loved everything. Are you sure? Go
Yeah.
double check. You didn't ask them how was everything, and they said everything is fine, right? You asked
Oh,
them a real question. So I understand that. We just need to know where we're at. We
yeah,
just need
we
the
do.
communication. And if it's bad news, we figure shit out. That's what we
Mhm.
do. So
Yeah.
I can definitely appreciate that. All right, now I really want to find out more about what Miss Betty's grandson is because I'm fascinated because clearly
Mhm.
you take so much pride and joy from the heritage that's been passed on to you culturally and then through your family specifically.
Yes, sir.
So tell us what that is exactly.
Miss Betty's grandson. It is what it is. I am Miss Betty's grandson. I believe that if you don't know where you're coming from, you never know where you're going in life. And that is the same. My
That's it.
grandfather used to preach, walk around the house with his Bible, just preaching Sunday mornings, and it's true. I sat back after my years of cooking, and I injured myself, and I had surgery on my ankle. I ended up having
Damn.
someone else's cartilage in my right ankle right now. I was told by the doctor,
Oh,
yeah, man, I was told by the physician that I was never going to be able to cook again. The weight on the ankle would not, hold. And if I ended up cooking for too much longer, I would probably end up using a wheelchair for the rest of my life. Um,
yeah.
But with that being said, I ended up losing over 60 pounds. I worked my ass off and I got back in the kitchen. And,
How long was that
you
process?
have to, a year and a half. I was in a medical boot for 6 months. I was in a cast for 3. And then I was just walking around. I drove for Uber for a little bit. But, you had to get back into business. This is what I do. My last name is Cook, Jensen, and
Yeah, no
yeah,
doubt.
yeah, brother. But no, Miss Betty's grandson. It's foundation, it's strength. You have to remember where you come from, so you know where you're going. And we all have a vision. I believe as cooks, as chefs, we want our own. You know what I mean? And you need to know your foundation is strong. My foundation is my grandparents. You know, they built me. They built everything that I stand for. Um, she's a beautiful woman. You know, she used to make her own curry powder from scratch. Our curry powder that we have is over 300 years old. This is my family's recipe. I'll
Oh,
send you some. I'll send you some.
yeah,
But
you will. I'm
yeah,
ready. I'm ready.
some. But you know, so little things like that. So Miss Betty's grandson, every dish, every event, every person that we feed, we give a lot of love. You know, it brings you back to family, it brings you back to foundation. It kind of gives you something to hold on to. You know, so
Yep.
so that's where that company comes from. You know, even in the hardest times when I was on the road with Revolution, as their chef, I want to say 2 years ago, we were on the road together, and I remember one scenario. I was in Orlando, and it was a third show, Jensen, and it was raining and it was pouring, and the tent just wrecked, and my grill got wrecked, and I had to feed these guys before they went on stage.
Uh,
And honestly, I literally have a picture of my grandmother on my phone as a screensaver at the time. And my wife called, that picture popped up, and my wife's name above it. And I just went back to work.
that's all you needed.
You know what I mean? It's really true, brother. I think that sometimes we need that reminder. You know, even in the hardest times. Real talk.
Uh, it's real. Jai, I so appreciate the thoughtfulness that you put into the work that you're doing, because it's
Yes,
easy
sir.
to be like, I'm a cook, I'm a chef, like I'm the help, like I'm just a grunt. Yet how thoughtful we can be with our craft, with our industry, with the people that
Yes,
we
sir.
surround ourselves with, the way that we feed
Yep.
another human being, it really matters. And so again,
It does.
the show is built on like the thesis is why and who before what and
Yes,
how.
sir.
We get so ground up in the minutia of what we do and how we do it, and thinking that's what sets us apart. Yet why we get out of bed to do what we do, and who it is we serve, and who's in the trenches, and who's gotten us to this point, like your grandparents.
Yes, sir.
That's what really matters. That's what you can hold on to, especially in dark times like this.
Thank
So
you.
I really appreciate that. And Miss Betty's grandson, is that a pop-up brand that you have, or what practically is that
Um,
business?
well, Miss Betty's grandson, I think that for right now, there's a lot of works going on in the background. Right now, we have a lot
Yeah.
of time on our hand. I have a 1962 GM food truck or milk truck that is on my father's farm in Weaverville, California.
Okay.
Right now, we're looking to see what we can do with that. You know, gut it out. I've had different farmers, local farmers, come to me, looking to see if we can sell their products in that truck. You know, so um, the thing is, right now we have to look at how we're going to come back.
Yeah.
And Miss Betty's grandson originally started as a personal chef company, evolved into a catering company. We've catered Red Rocks twice now, which is a beautiful thing for that opportunity. And we're still growing. You know, we've toured with Revolution, Stephen Marley, Collie Buds. And that list is honestly growing. You know, we're looking at the Marley family to connect them with. My father was Damien and Steven's tour manager for the longest. Michael Franti and Spearhead's tour manager for the longest. So using these connections that we have, and seeing how we can help the community is kind of way we're going to go about it. You know, connecting with Lost Creek Farm with Chef Chris Starkis. He's in Lakewood. I'm in Lakewood. Him and I are part of different conversations. But yeah, man, honestly, Miss Betty's grandson is just more looking a way to see how we can evolve and how we can come back, because it's not going to be the same. Restaurant business is not going to be the same when we come back, and it's not coming back anytime soon. So we have to pivot. We have to find some way to pivot and work with the circumstances and situations that we're in right now.
Yeah, completely agree. And so for you, it does come back to that really figuring out how you can simplify your belief system within
Yeah,
what it means for hospitality, and how you can deliver the simplest version of that to people, connecting your passions. I love that. I mean, you got to cook for, Revolution on tour and things like that. The creativity that you had to deploy when you're cooking in the rain, trying to get them on stage. Like, again, you just like figure shit out. You make it happen in this industry, which I think is so important. And we're being called to that more than ever. And so you've already mentioned a few of them. What other hopes do you have for the industry coming out of this as you see the opportunity and the challenges, but the opportunity to find a way to pivot, to kind of create our own future? What are a couple of the other things that you want to see the industry move towards in this time coming out of this?
Well, honestly, I think I was watching the Modern Eater yesterday. I was watching Juan Padro speak, and I've worked with him because obviously connecting with Chef Daniel Asher, Ashkara, working over there for a period of time. He said something. His thing is that the way we're gonna come back, it's not gonna be the same. It's not gonna be what is on the plate. It's more gonna be about the experience. So with that being said, it's no longer be about the swoosh of the pretty sauce. It's not gonna be about the black ash of this or whatever of that. It's more gonna be a familiar, something that is familiar to the patron, something that is recognizable, and something that brings peace to the mind and the soul. So that's kind of how I would love to see how we come back, seeing how we can connect with our community more, and that is where my mindset is at right now, Jensen. I originally was looking at this truck as a food truck, but coming back as a food truck would not make any sense right now. Being able to sell food on the side of the streets, that's going to be questionable. So with that being said, connecting with local farms, connecting with local butchers, finding different ways to connect the community with the resources that they need, feed the community. You know what I mean? Connecting local farms with their local communities. I think that's going to be the way that we have to go around. I think the restaurant business right now is going to have to watch, um, honestly, everything from back of house to front of house. These are conversations that I've been having from with Fireside of Five. As I said, I've connected with Chef Chris Starkis, Gertie over there. These are the individuals from the Steamboat Food and Wine Festival that started this conversation group again. That is Fireside of Five, and it's a beautiful thing. It's the conversations of how owners and chefs are going to look at the business, whether it's when a customer walks through the door, proper sanitation around the area, sanitizer, wipes, make sure that the guest has a mask for the period of time, make sure that the server wear a mask, make sure the server wear a glove. These are the things that we're going to have to come back and think about. 50% occupy. Um, that is not going to be able to happen. Are you going to be able to make 10 grand a week, $10,000 to $15,000 a day, basically? Are these numbers, are you going to be able to hit the markers? Are you going to be able to need to pay your bills and stay afloat? Um, as I said, Jen, it's right now myself as a chef, having offers on the table, looking at them, having to turn them down. It's sad because right now we're not prepared, and we're bouncing around. We're kind of bouncing around the ball, trying to get different ideas, get different thoughts of how we're going to come back. But I think realizing the situation, realizing that the bills that you have to pay, whether it's gas, electric, rent, having to make sure that you make food costs, labor costs, these are going to be the questions that are going to be in our brains. Am I going to be able to make enough money on a daily basis to make sure that this business is available or will be here next year? So
they're hard questions.
they're very hard questions, Jensen. And watching businesses close right now, it's literally bringing tears to my eyes, man. Watching these businesses that you've cooked with and gone to and frequent, it's mind-boggling, honestly. I think us trying to figure out how we're gonna come back, that's gonna be the very toughest question, brother. That's gonna be the very, very toughest question.
Yeah, back to what we talked about early on. It's so personal. It's
Yeah,
such a personal decision. And so it's really challenging in this time to have these broad, sweeping, this is what you have to do, because every business is nuanced by the people that are within that business, the community that they serve, the practical, their real estate, their payroll taxes, all of those things
everything,
downstream from that. And I
everything.
think, again, the challenge is immense and unbelievable. Yet also, to your points, the opportunities to focus.
Yeah,
Juan has been a great voice for that. You know, he likes to punch people in the mouth and then say, okay, now let's fix the
You
problem,
know,
which I
Juan,
love. So,
he's a
and
very
actually
energetic
it's great.
soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Juan Padro and Paul Riley are going to be on a show together next week from Beast and Bottle, Coperta, also Broadway Market, that connection there. They're going to be on. Greg Hollenbeck from The Modern Eater is going to be on next week. So I think some of those voices that are going to push through some of the white noise of, you know, it's time to start thinking about the future. We know that the shit has hit the fan. We know that we're in trouble. We know that there's a way out. So yeah, appreciate that thought again. And so for you, timing is going to be key, obviously, with you having slightly more concerns than others because of your asthma and things like that.
Yeah.
And so is there something that you personally are watching out for that is the moment you say, okay, now I feel confident? Are you have something in mind, or are you just trying to continue to watch, and who the hell knows what that moment is going to be for you?
Honestly, man, I think that I honestly don't have that moment. It's more watching and trying to feel comfortable with the community. I think that watching the leaders in the community, whether it's Paul Riley, whether it's Juan Padro, individuals like yourself, watching the decisions how we make, watching how the restaurants connect with the communities and actually show care. I think that as restaurants, we're already clean. We already take these necessary precautions to make sure that the customer or the guests come in and have a comfortable, enjoyable experience. Now we're going to have to go that extra mile, and we're going to have to make it more visible as well. It cannot be behind closed doors anymore. So you're going to have guests that's going to ask questions. We need to make sure that chefs and owners have answers. We need to make sure that we can go into a restaurant comfortably and feel safe. But it's going to be a beautiful thing. I think that right now we're being challenged, and I think that we can find some good in anything. That is something that my grandmother used to say. And right now, I think any good that we can find is that the earth is being reset. And
really is.
As humans, we're kind of being put on a timeout. And the fact of the matter is that if we just sit back and look at the situation and try to find some light in it, you know, we can come back better. That is it.
Not agree more. The word, especially when it comes to ensuring your community that you are taking all the steps for their safety, and not just telling them, showing them, and truly taking their safety to heart. Transparency. The veil continues to be lifted layer by layer from the hospitality industry. Open kitchens are one of my favorite things to happen to the industry because it created a connection in both directions. And so now there's going to be an expectation of more clarity, more transparency. People are going to want to know and see how the sausage is made.
Mm-hmm.
It was always something you didn't want to see. Now people are going to expect to see it and have confidence in that. And the way that we communicate that is going to be essential, absolutely essential to coming out of that. So really appreciate that. Tajahi, amazing conversation.
Thank you, sir.
I want to give you the opportunity. Any last thoughts? And then I want some playlist items from you, because whatever you listen to, and I keep saying this to all my guests because I feel like they have such positive energy. And I'm like, whatever you listen to or whatever you eat for breakfast, I need that in my life. But any last thoughts before we get to your playlist items?
Last thoughts, man. I think right now as a community, we're being challenged. And if we actually do come together and work together, we can come out of this together. I've heard different sayings throughout my life. One hand can't clap, one wing cannot fly. So with that being said, let's work together. Let's actually work together. We need the government to help the restaurants, and we need the community to support our restaurants so they can be here next year.
That's it.
Yeah.
Mic drop, man. That's all it's going to be. That's all it's what it'll take. Immensely challenging, yet it's also very simple. That's all it's going to take. It's for communities to come together. So I really appreciate that. All right, a couple playlist items. We got Revolution, Cali Buds, the Marley Family. We got Michael Franti on here. We got a lot of people that oh man, that's the music that definitely is soul soothing for sure. So we got music. Maybe anything else? Anything you're reading or watching that's keeping you inspired right now?
Watching. The wife and I, my wife and I have been together for almost a decade.
Congrats.
This is probably the 100th time that we've started The Office. So I think right now, anything that brings peace to you, take it. Take it like that medication, prescription, take it. So yeah, right now we're binge watching The Office, that 70s show.
Okay.
Very, very classics.
Love it.
There's a movie that I recently came across on Netflix. It's called Sprinter. Uh, it's about a Jamaican sprinter that is just trying to make a good thing for himself and his family. Uh, that movie brought a lot of light and love and laughter into our house recently, so that was good. So I would suggest that Sprinter on Netflix.
I absolutely loved it. And we can't leave out. I know you got a couple books there because we joked about it earlier. Let me
Yeah,
see. Let the
I have
people
the
see.
autobiography of Malcolm X.
Malcolm X, yes, sir.
And of course, you have to have Kitchen Confidential.
That's it.
Yeah, definitely. I have my head in a couple other books. I'm learning how to cure meat more. I'm trying to better my skills. Honing them a little bit. I've been making pasta like crazy. My wife wants ravioli tomorrow, so let's go ahead and crank that out. Um, yeah, just that, brother. Just reading, cooking, music wise. Other than the artists that you've mentioned, I've been listening to a lot of Prodigy and Chronics. These are two up and coming reggae acts. Amazing, positive music. And even Michael Franti and Spearhead's uh, Home album. That one,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all I can say.
So good.
Yes, sir.
Tajahi Cooke, my friend, truly one of our unsung hospitality heroes. We all need to absorb some of your energy, the positivity, the motivation, also just the real talk. It's going to take both. We're not going to be just kumbaya all the time, and we can't be just Debbie Downer all the time. We got to be realistic, and then we got to get up and go. So I appreciate that very much, sir.
Thank you, Jensen. Thank you so much for having me, brother. You're doing an amazing work. You're connecting us. Between you and the Modern Eater, that's the only reason I really go onto Facebook. So thank you.
That means a lot. I really appreciate it, especially Greg and the Modern Eaters on a whole nother level. Those guys got a real show. I just hop on my laptop and have a conversation. But if it brings value to one person, one of our unsung hospitality heroes, I will keep hustling and communicating. That's all I know how to do. So I appreciate it. Tajahi, having a great day. Go make those raviolis, my friend.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Take it easy.
Yeah. I mean, you all know why I do this show. That's it. That is the reason that I'm so motivated every single day. 61 episodes over the last 5+ weeks that we've been doing this. Coming up here, all kinds of technical difficulties, all kinds of issues, my motivation being up and down all over the place. Yet that is exactly why I will not stop doing this no matter what, because it just matters that Tajahi gets to share just a piece of his message and we get to learn about his grandmother for a couple minutes. It matters. It really, really matters. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity. So thank you very much to Tajahi, to all of my 61 guests that have been on the show, many more to come. We got this. It's a hashtag that's cliche, but it's true. We got this together. As Tajahi said, nothing can stop us as human beings, but the humans in hospitality, seriously, nothing. No bad news can ever slow down the juggernaut and the insanity that is the hospitality industry, the humans therein. So tune in to the Facebook page in a little bit, Instagram stories, everywhere that we post here in a little while. We're going to have our guest roster for next week. Already mentioned Greg Hollenbeck from the Modern Eater is going to be on, Juan Padro from Culinary Creative, Paul Riley. Those two are going to be on a show together, which is going to be exciting. Should be some fun, some banter, some fireworks potentially, and a few other guests. Liana de la Vega, icon of Mexican heritage cooking, is going to be on tomorrow. So check out the full lineup of guests, and thank you. Thank you, all of you, for watching one moment of any conversation that we have on the show. I really appreciate it. Cheers.